Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited today to be starting a new round of Jokes on Me. This is round 3, episode 1, but first we have some things to talk about. I do just want to share some stats on where Jokes on Me so far has led me and the progress I've made throughout this series so far. So through the 2 rounds that I have so far completed, I have read a total of 32 books, 19 of which have came off of my physical TBR. I have unhauled 4 books, I have bought 5 books, and I've only earned 1 week of readathons. But I've participated in 2, so I'm technically behind on my readathon earnings. And so far I have been on this journey for 166 days. Coming in to round 3, my physical TBR, we're getting so close. Coming into round 3, my physical TBR is sitting at 104 books. I want to break 100 so bad. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and roll into my card flips I did a few days ago, and then I'll check back here with all of the books that I have chosen. Okay, it is time for Jokes on Me, and this is the start of round 3, so I'm excited to be starting our new round here. I did go really old school with my game piece, and I grabbed a Sorry red piece. This round we are starting from this readathon spot, so that is where we will be trying to get back to here. I am going to go ahead and shuffle the cards, and then I'm here to do some card flips. Nice. Okay. So I am still using the rule. I decided this in April, and so I'm still going forward with this for a little while here, that if I flip a card that I can fit in a book I've read that I have not been allowed to read, that I'll just fit that book in and do an extra card flip. So generally I do 3 card flips, but we could end up with more here. Starting with a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is the NetGalley square. Can always use that. A 7, which lets me like jump across the board, and I go based on the corners. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will jump to here, which already has me with great progress, but that prompt is from my store. If you don't know this, I have like a little book stand that I do little like outdoor events and sell books. So I will be heading to my basement to find a book from that stash to read. And potentially the final card flip here is a Jack. So I will be unhauling a book. I will be right back to let you know what I am going to read. So firstly, I landed on NetGalley, and I definitely have a few things that I could choose for this, but I am choosing to choose Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book to her new A Vine Mess series, and I believe this book follows the sister of one of the love interests in the first book. The sister of the male love interest in the first book. I am a little bit skeptical of this one just because of the tropes, and also because we've been introduced to those characters in the first book, and I'm like, how is she gonna make this work? But that's the book I'm choosing for NetGalley. And then I landed on From My Store. So here is a clip of the mess of my basement. Welcome to my dungeon of books. This, need I say, I haven't had an event since last October, and I won't have another one until June of this year. It's kind of like a summer thing for me. But essentially this is what I need to dig through to find something that I'm semi-interested in reading. I know like I have a copy that I kept of that, but I kind of want to find something different. I know I was interested in that author, I set it aside, but let me really dig through everything going on here, and I'll let you know what I find. and I did end up digging through that pile. I may have chosen something that you may think is a little bit cheating, because I chose from a box of books that I got from my friend Sarah. And so some of these she already brings to me knowing that they're like direct recommendations for me or things I wanted, but I haven't been letting myself like keep them, aka bring them upstairs, because I am kind of on a book buying ban because of this. You know, I'm only allowing so many new books into my library right now. So this was one I was happy to grab, and that is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am trying to read through all of her backlist, and so this will get me one step closer. Again, this is something that's like definitely on my like back of my mind TBR, so glad to grab this from downstairs. And then I got a Jack, so I will be sometime throughout this video unhauling a book. I'm not going to do that right now. And finally, for my choice book, I am slotting in a book I have already read. I am almost caught up on those books, and I should be able to actually start reading my choice books again here soon. But for this episode, I just want to talk about The Retreat by Sarah Pierce. I buddy read this with Martine from Just Martine, Ruby from Ruby Read, and Kayla from Kayla Ray Reads. We also had buddy read the first book, which is The Sanatorium, in November, I believe. Actually, I know, because I remember I was reading that book when I found out I was pregnant, so we definitely buddy read that in November. But this is a sequel to a mystery series, and I am venturing into many a mystery series this year just for fun. It's not like a video project or anything, but I am kind of purposely testing the waters of mystery series this year. And I think that as a group, I guess, kind of think that this is a little formulaic and maybe even, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but maybe a little trashy. But I'm kind of loving that. Like, they've both been set at resorts, like they're isolated vacation setting mysteries, but I'm having such a good time, and like they are page turners. It's like what ridiculous thing is going to happen next. So I really enjoyed this read of The Retreat, and I anxiously await the third book hopefully coming out. A third book hasn't been announced yet, but this book has not been out that long. So that's where we're at heading into this episode. I will see you as soon as I make some progress in something. Okay, I need to do a phone update from the car, or you're just never gonna hear an update on this book from me, because I'm kind of zooming through it, and if I just keep going, I'm gonna be like 80% in by the time I would talk to you later today. Also, on my phone you can really see all my baby hairs. Blame that on the baby in my tummy. But I am like over 50% of the way through Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'm really enjoying it. This does start with like a tragedy. So our main character's husband dies in a car accident. It's like he's riding a bicycle and he gets hit by a vehicle. And so we're following, this was like a whirlwind romance. They had known each other 6 months and got married. And so like a lot of their families didn't even know that they had gotten married. And now our main character is dealing with like losing this man and having to tell everyone like, hey, he died, and by the way, we were married. So we're following the timeline of her having to deal with like the funeral and his mom, which she didn't know they were married, and it's like they're kind of arguing about the funeral situations. And then we're also getting flashbacks to when they met and started dating, so you're learning their romance. And I do think that both of those timelines are interesting. I'm in the mood for a romance, so I am liking the chapters where they're talking about them falling in love, but it is kind of like hard to read knowing, like you immediately start this book knowing what's going to happen in the end. I feel like a truck just started next to me, and that's probably all you can hear. I'm sorry. So yeah, so far I don't think this is going to be like my favorite book of the year by any means, but I'm having a very good time reading through this. And like I said, quick read. Good morning. It is the next morning, but last night Lizzie and I did some sprints on her channel, and so I was able to finish Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this like almost got a 5-star from me. I almost changed like one of my categories on Cawpile to let it be a 5-star, but it was like top tier 4.5 star. I just really ended up enjoying this one, so I'm happy that I got the opportunity to kind of pick not from my bookshelves and get this from hiding downstairs. I do think that this is a great example of a book that talks about grief. Like the whole book essentially is about grief, but also there are just so many moments that made me smile or like laugh a little because It's just life, and like some of it is so silly and like stuff that would actually happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I also really enjoyed, there's like an old man character in this book and I loved him. So yes, a very high 4.5 stars. Very happy to have read this one. But today, now I am using my reward from last round. So I have a babysitter all day today. My mom is watching Mabel. I just went and dropped her off. And so now me and my Kindle are going to be hanging out for the day. I'm currently watching some sprints on Ryland's channel, and then at noon I'm doing some sprints on my channel. Chris did request that we go out to dinner tonight since we have no baby, but those are my only plans for the day. Other than that, I am planning on reading. So I'm ready to start that. I will definitely be checking in with you again today once I make any kind of progress here. Okay, I am in the middle of my sprints on my channel now, and I just hit like 100 pages into Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey, which is also like around between 25 and 30%. I will say just the tropes in this one I enjoy less than the tropes that were in Secretly Yours, the first book in this series, and I also just enjoyed those characters a little bit more, but I just loved Tessa Bailey's writing style. Like, I just think it's so fun. This one is more like rivals to lovers. I assume they're gonna end up lovers, but it's a marriage of convenience situation. It is mutually beneficial for them to get married, but in the beginning they do not like each other. But we are set still in this like wine town. This book is following the hero in the first book. We're following his sister, and so it is fun. The two characters from the first book are in this a lot because the brother and sister do technically live together. So I'm having a very fun time reading that, but also I got a very good surprise this morning. So right when I started sprints, I'm on sprints on Chris's laptop. That's what I always do sprints on because I just have my desktop and this laptop, which both love to give up on me. And so I have been asking for a new laptop, and I thought Chris was at his parents' house this morning, and then he came home right as I started sprints with this box, and it is like the exact one I asked for. It's the MacBook Pro, and so I told myself that once I read 100 pages on these sprints that I could open it. So I'm going to get to open this now, basically. So yes, I'm very excited for that. I'm having the best day off ever. Let me open my popsicle. Yum. It's like pretty late in the evening, and I filmed a sit-down video here earlier, and now it's like many hours later, and honestly like starting to get dark out already. But it's good to know that the lighting here is still decent. I mostly just wanted to check in before the weekend ended here because I did have a very good weekend off. Very happy with my reward situation from last round, but not so happily. I am at about 50% of Unfortunately Yours now, and I'm just not loving it like I liked the first one. I do think it's the characters and also the trope. So as much as I'm enjoying Tessa's writing style still, like this definitely isn't like a slog for me to read. I don't think it's going to end up being one of my favorites from her. But like I said, it's getting late on Sunday. My family's being loud, getting ready for bedtime. I'm probably gonna get into bed and just watch some YouTube or something. And we'll see how my week goes. I finished Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey this morning, and unfortunately I do think I'm going to be giving that one 3 stars. As much as I love Tessa Bailey's writing style, to convince me of the marriage of convenience thing, I think that the characters would have had to be like standout favorites for me, and they just weren't. I also think it's so hard for her to have introduced these characters in the first book in like kind of a negative way, especially the male love interest, and then with the female love interest, Natalie, I just felt like you needed too much background knowledge from that first book. Also, like, you're assumed to already know so much about her personality and the family dynamic and such, and I felt the same way about kind of the setting. Like, this book really lost the like wine town feel for me. Like, it was more telling instead of showing, because I feel like Tessa thought that she set that up enough in the first book. And while I did read these fairly close together, if you hadn't, I feel like the vibe is lost. So landing on 3 stars for that. I think that was the last book that I had to read for this vlog. So I'll check back in tomorrow to kind of close this vlog out. I am not up for it right now. So I'll see you tomorrow once I'm fresh. Good morning. It is now time for me to actually close this vlog out, but I did realize I haven't done my unhaul for this episode yet, and so I did wheel my TBR cart over here because I did look through my want to read shelf on Goodreads, which as of now is only my owned books and my NetGalley ARCs, and there is one thing that I noticed that I do think I am willing to get rid of today. And it's coming from the top shelf of the TBR cart, which is like the newest stuff that I have acquired. And while I was a fan of this podcast, I just don't think I need to or really want to read this book that bad. So I'm going to get rid of Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. They host the My Favorite Murder podcast. I did used to listen to this podcast. I haven't listened to it in a while, but yeah, I don't think I need to read this. So I'm letting that go. And then I also have been liking unhauling something from my red shelves as well. And I think I'm going to start with doing that, going shelf by shelf. So I'm going to bring you over to my top shelf on the first bookshelf here and try to pick something from that shelf. If I don't want to get rid of anything there, I'll move on to the following shelf, but let's go take a look. Okay, all of my shelves are in order by author last name, so this is also going to give you a peek kind of into my shelves. So I have A to B here. It ends on a Holly Black book. Kind of fitting because all my Tessa Baileys are right here, and I read a Tessa Bailey in this vlog. I do definitely see some things that I would be willing to get rid of here. But I think what I'm actually going to get rid of is right here. I did enjoy this book. I only keep books I like, but this isn't something I think I will ever circle back to. So I'm going to be getting rid of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. Like I said, I just don't think this is something I will ever circle back to. So there we have it. Those are my unhauls. That is another completed episode of Jokes on Me. These episodes are coming faster lately, so I hope you look forward to seeing the next episode as well. The whole playlist of all of the Jokes on Me episodes will be linked down below, so go take a look at those previous rounds if you haven't yet. But thank you so much for spending some time with me this week, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!